Good morning. Well, hey, everybody. The topic for today is nighttime wandering. Someone who's getting up in the middle of the night and moving around. So let's see. Why might this be happening? What's going on and what should I do about it? Well, let's start with environmental. When someone wakes up in the middle of the night, the amount of data available to them is diminished. I actually am doing this to you now. I have my area unlit. It's dark, it's shadowy. And so it's harder to make out the details of the world around me. So, in order to pick up on things, I'm going to have to move around closer. But as I do that, I'm also being more cautious in my movements. And so, one of the things that happens in the darker at night or when I don't have enough light is that I'm going to be more cautious, but that will mean that I'm moving around often and touching things or getting close to things. I might be stumbling into things, knocking into things. So, of course, if you're my partner, you're waking up and it's like, what is going on? It could be I'm simply awake and trying to figure out my environment. Well, let's go ahead and make it light in here so that for those of you who are watching, you can actually have something happen. But here's the thing. If I had a gradual increase the light situation, it would actually make it a little better. Unfortunately, I don't. So if I just flip the switch, assuming I can find it, whoa, much like the screen in the system had to make a quick adaptation, so do my eyes, and so do the eyes of the other person. So it can be a real startle reflex, which will, in fact, cause cortisol. When cortisol happens, it means it's going to be harder for me to get back to sleep because I've been alerted something is happening here. So, something to think about is how do you turn on a low level light and maybe a couple low level lights, and then bring the lighting up a little so you can see, but not really brighten the environment dramatically. The other thing to consider is when someone is starting to have nighttime wakefulness, it might be worth investing in a light that movement activates. So that as soon as the person starts moving out of the bed, there's a night light situation that comes on that might actually direct them to some possibilities. So let's talk about a second sort of reason why somebody might be up and wondering. And these have to do with physiological unmet needs. So it could be that I need to output something, or it could be that I need to input something, or it could be that I experienced discomfort when I was sleeping, or it could be I experienced pain. Now, let's add into that that there's a possibility that my circadian rhythm is simply off. I'm in a cycle of sleep a little bit, be awake a little bit, sleep a little bit, be awake a little bit, much like a newborn or someone who doesn't have a good regulated 24/7 cycle. Then, of course, there's the input of needing data, of needing sensory data. And so, therefore, I'm getting up for that sensory data. So, input might be things like oxygen. So, if indeed I have some sleep apnea, or if my sleep position is making it hard for me to stay in a sleep state because I'm not getting enough oxygen in my system, I might wake and rouse. And again, what's happening in that moment? Cortisol, because my primitive brain is going, we don't have oxygen. This is impossible. A second possible need could be hydration. My kidneys might be working more effectively at night. Ooh, so it might be output, input. My mouth might be really dry. I'm feeling like I need something to drink. Or it could be that I'm hungry because what I took in, it's been a while, or it was glucose. And so I love sweet treats or salty, crunchy treats or carb treats at night because they're satisfying. But in fact, they burn through quickly. And so now I'm awake. And particularly if I went to bed really early, because again, my circadian is off a bit. Now, There might be the other output. Might have a need to have a bowel movement at night, and somehow at night I'm more aware of it because there's less going on around me, and now I'm more body aware. There could be what is called restless leg syndrome and discomfort where I can't get my legs to be still. I'm not getting into my deep sleep states. And so this discomfort is sort of like now I need to get up and move. So I've been like moving in the bed and now I'm moving in the environment. Another reason it might be happening, however, is that I'm in pain. Perhaps I have arthritis, maybe I have difficulty with my stomach. Maybe there's something wrong with my neck, my shoulders, my hips. And as I lay in one position, I go to shift, and the shifting because of the arthritis in my joints or because of another phenomenon, muscle tension, it wakes me up because it hurts. It jerks me awake. And then again, cortisol, hard for me to get back to sleep. So we can start scratching our heads and go, okay, well, how do we start our problem solving? Well, let's make sure we didn't miss anything because there are a couple of other elements to consider. One of them is the type and degree of dementia that I'm living with. Could it be that my visual changes are causing me to see things like the darkness behind me and the lightness behind me and my movement? I see shadows. I think it's other people, but it's actually my shadow or your shadow. I'm wondering whether at night my discomfort of not being able to figure things out visually might raise my level of distress. And I've always been a person that's been in charge of things and trying to be responsible for things. And so I feel responsible and I've got to go up and check and make sure everything's safe, like everything's where it should be, and that the doors are locked and the windows are secured and everybody's okay. And I need to check on them. Or maybe ooh, I want to look back and see, is this someone who was active at night? Did they stay up at nights? Did they work at nights? Did they have responsibilities at nights? Was it one of those things where, for a long period of my life, this was my work? And so I did a lot of work at night, solo work at night. Now, it could have been desk work, writing, or it could have been caring, or so we want to look back also to see what's in the past that might be coming forward, because what we might be dealing with is a symptom of the dementia, an issue where I have more alertness and awareness at night because I can't seem to settle it down. I can't bring it into this space. Now, if I've been watching or doing something immediately before my sleep, it could trigger me up into thinking that was real. Or perhaps we had a disagreement or some kind of conflict the day before. That may come into the fore, and now I'm trying to resolve it. But because of the dementia that I have, my dream state and my awake state, I'm not sure which is which. So I think it's actually happening. Or I might have delusional thinking about what's going on. I actually think I hear people. Well, what I hear is the fan going on and off, or perhaps the clicking of a clock somewhere, and I hear somebody breathing. That's not accurate, but my brain is taking what it's picking up on and turning it into something. Oh, that's a lot. So now that we've sort of got some ideas of what we could consider, we want to pick one or two of them and start pulling apart a little bit. Let's rule out, let's sort of investigate some of these things. Let's talk about it. Let's consider it, and let's figure out our three puzzle pieces that are the easier ones to address are environment. What could we do in the environment? And I sort of started us that way. What can we do in the environment to simplify things or to improve things so that my person maybe gets more relief? So, one thing that I suggested recently to someone is because they do have some evidence of sleep apnea, wedge the head of the bed up with a wedge pillow, just bring it up some, and sure enough, ta-da! Although they got up one time to go to the bathroom, now they're sleeping during the critical time when their carer also needs sleep so that she can function more effectively during the day. Other situations might involve really looking at the bedroom temperature or looking at the position of the bed, maybe looking at the environment around or surrounding pre-bedtime activities. So sometimes it's as simple as switching the nighttime snack to something that has a complex protein and a complex carbohydrate, something like peanut butter on graham crackers versus cookies. Maybe looking at something like pimento cheese on. Now, again, all depends on a lot of other things. But what I'm trying to do is think of a small amount that if there is some hunger involved in this, and the person may not be able to tell me that, I'm sort of doing some adjustments to what goes into the person, not trying to get the person to do something different. So I'm making adaptations. I might look at the timing of when we do things. So time of bed, time of wake. I might look at my sleep pattern and see, is the problem really that they're waking up, or are they getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep? And what I need to try to figure out is who could help them move out of their sleep into their morning, even if it is 3 a.m. or 4 a.m., so that I'm not trying to do that when my sleep pattern is for a 6 a.m. or a 7 a.m. rise. Is there someone in my world who can take on that responsibility if the person, when they get up, needs guidance, supervision, support for safety or for companionship, so they don't come and try to wake me up? Um, if the person gets up and there's enough cues in the environment for them to do something that are it's okay, there's nothing they're doing that's a problem, maybe I can let go a little bit if you convince your brain to do that. So I look at the helper, I look at the environment, and I look at timing. We also want to look at the possibility of the person. And is there something about them getting their needs met? Do we need to look at pain management? Do we need to look at loneliness or scared or frightened emotional state? Do we need to look at their dementia and figure out how to do the modifications so we both get satisfaction rather than distress? And for many of us, once we figure out the why behind something, then our brain can go, oh, so this is how I can make an adaptation. For people who try to do, how do I fix this without understanding the why, it's sort of like just throw things at the problem. I hope today got you thinking about nighttime wakefulness in a slightly different way. It's actually highly complex and deserves attention. If you're feeling like I could use someone to talk to just to problem solve this, and you don't have someone, consider a couple options. It's time to look around and see who could I build into my support system to help me to help. Or let us know, because if there's a way, we will try to figure out how to point you in some directions that might be helpful. It's really a choice to continue to find nighttime wakefulness a huge issue for you and the person you care about, or for you to go, is it my nighttime wakefulness that's the problem? What? As you can see, I get up pretty early. This is actual real time. So I'm an early riser. I've always been a fairly early riser. So 4:30 to 5, it's just when I rise. Now that does mean during the middle of the day, I may be down on energy. And then I pop back up into the evening and I have to schedule that out so that I do end up with the wake sleep cycle that's good for me. But before we try fixing the other person, it is a good idea to look in the mirror and make sure, is part of the problem how I'm reacting to the sleep pattern? Or is it truly that their pattern is so different than mine? We really do need to figure this out. And that's usually the case. Till next time, take care of yourself, take care with your care. And if you're struggling a little bit, I'm not surprised. This is really challenging territory. Supporting and caring for someone who you've known or have just met can be a challenge. The good news is, for some of us, figuring things out gives us energy. And when we start to problem solve together, suddenly that which seemed insurmountable can be something we can think about and try some things out with without being so frustrated. Till next time, thanks all.